Sports City, chefs, Sports City, chefs. Yeah. Cavi, Taj.
What's going on, Sports City? It's your boy Sears back with another edition of Finger Foods, an exclusive here on Sports City Chefs, the network, and SportsCityChefs.com. As I customly say before we get started, if you're not currently a subscriber, I would definitely urge you guys to become a subscriber. Hit that post notification and that bell and get notified every time we post. We are also on a plethora of different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So if you enjoy the content that we bring to you on a regular basis on the radio, I would definitely urge you guys to join us on social media, interact with us, and become part of our social media family. These thoughts and these feelings are those of my own and do not represent the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Cleveland Browns, or Sports City Chefs as a company. I shoot from the hip, I pull no punches, and I definitely spare no feelings. It has taken me the better part of a week to comb through my emotions and feelings and just the tale of the tape of what took place last Thursday evening in Cleveland, Ohio. There was some good, there was some bad, and there was definitely some ugly. And I will get into all of that as I progress on through this edition of Finger Foods. But I wanted to start off this episode by just speaking straight from the heart. I see a lot on social media and in the media in general, whether that be on TV, radio, whatever the case may be, about the state of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'd be an idiot if I didn't, admit that some of what I'm hearing is accurate and correct. For starters, the offense needs to be significantly better. I can't skate around it. I can't dance around that. Actually, if you want to get technical, both sides of the ball, offense and defense, need to play significantly better. Second thing I'm hearing is that Mike Tomlin is not a coach. He is a glorified cheerleader. I've heard that numerous times from the likes of Terry Bradshaw and other famous media outlets and media people. And that's honestly the farthest thing from the truth. I don't have to defend Mike Tomlin. His resume and his pedigree speaks for himself. But for him to be able to put together a resume such as he has, you got to do more than just hold pom-poms and cheerlead. I said this last week. We as Steelers fans have become very, very spoiled. And we don't appreciate the tediousness and the effort of a grind. Everything has been popcorn and made easy for us as fans. So we are in the midst of a grind, if you will. So I wouldn't expect Steelers fans that are my age or younger to understand the tough work that goes into a grind. I do expect those of like Terry Bradshaw and those who have me by a couple years to understand what's going on and to not necessarily speak from a fan's perspective, but just be analytical about what's going on the field and understand that there's some work that goes into this. Our opponents get paid as well. And I do have to tip my cap to my opponents, even though I do not like and or appreciate what's been going on in stadium for the team that wears the same color hat that I represent. At the end of the day, our opponents do get paid as well. Which leads me into the good, bad, and the ugly of what I saw in stadium on last Thursday. We played an exceptional half of football. And for me, that would be the good aspect of what we did. If you look at what took place in stadium, the first half of that ball game, our offense was able to gain significant traction. we moved the launching points for Mitch Trubisky. He was on the run. He was getting the ball to the eligibles on time with room to run and maneuver. By doing that, the running game was able to, go downhill. I saw some significant progress in the offensive line and in them being able to put hats on hats and move people. So I was very, very much encouraged by what I saw on the offensive line and from our offense the first half of that ball game. Those of you guys that know me well enough know that I speak to my father after every Steeler game and at the half of every Steeler game. And he and I had a very candid discussion about the importance of understanding zone blocking versus hat-on-hat blocking. And my dad said this, and I tip my cap to my dad. You don't move men. You create alleyways for men. For example, if we're playing a 3-4 front, we get in the way. Najee's supposed to put his foot in the ground, cut up field. And a lot of times when Najee goes for no yards or 1 yard or a quarterback gets sacked and held onto the ball, that negative connotation, that negative remark is credited to the offensive line. Unjustly so, because they did their job. The other parties that are supposed to assist them in doing their job did not do theirs. So, for as much as I criticize and drag the offensive line, when you put on the all-22 and understand the schematics behind said offensive line, they're not playing significantly bad. So I tip my cap to the offensive line. The bad, honestly, was the second half of that ball game. I'm not too sure what happened when we went inside the locker room. I'm not sure if we started smelling ourselves and feeling that we can adjust the game plan and do things out of character. But that's essentially what we did. We couldn't convert on third down. We turned Mitch Trubisky into a drop back passer, which by all indications, and he has shown us that he is not that. But that's essentially what we ended up trying to do. We stopped rolling him out. We stopped moving the launching point. We stopped getting him in advantageous situations. Which brings me to Matt Canada once again. I said this last week, and I'm going to continue to say this. I'm not advocating for somebody to lose their job. But at some point, we got to stop trying to fit this round peg into a square hole. You go out and get a Mitch Trubisky for him to use his skill set. He's not a drop back passer. We can't expect him to be Joe Burrow. We can't expect him to be Aaron Rodgers and those alike who is compared to. We can't expect him to be that. So why are we trying to make him that? We saw the blueprint. We saw what it could potentially be like with him on the run, with him moving the launching point, with him doing the things that he is skilled to do, the read option. He scored a touchdown off a read option. The offense looked like it gained traction. The running game was wide open. Warren and Najee were gashing the defense for significant trunks when we were moving the launching point and doing things that were within our skill set to do. So therefore, I question the reason why we went inside the locker room and came out and aborted the mission. Every week, Mike Tomlin and these guys say we're trying to put our team in advantageous situations to secure victory and get out of stadiums with wins. What was so advantageous about the change of game plan in the second half? If I can see it sitting on my couch, and those that watch this team on a regular basis can see it sitting on their couches, I'm not understanding why this was, foreign to see in stadium. I just don't get it. The all-22, which we all have access to, is coaches' tape. You can look at what was successful and copy-paste that. It wasn't like the Cleveland Browns reinvented the wheel and decided to do something different. We changed up. Offensively. We switched up. We stopped being able to sustain drives. We stopped getting in manageable second downs and third downs. That was on us. No disrespect to the Cleveland Browns. But we helped them beat us. That was bad coaching. Matt Canada. The ugly is actually my defense. You know, for the first couple weeks, I praised my defense. And essentially, we got manhandled. We got taken out to the woodshed and beat up. If this was a boxing ring, a boxing match, we would have thrown in the towel. The Cleveland Browns came out in the second half and did whatever they wanted when they wanted to do it. They can run it. They can throw it. We made Jacoby Brissett look like the reincarnation of Aaron Rodgers. We made Nick Chubb look like the reincarnation of Jim Brown. They could do whatever, whenever they wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? At some point, we have to understand that even though 90 isn't in uniform, we still have a job to do. I like the fact that Mike Tomlin benched Tyson Alualu because he was loafing and getting outplayed. We'll see what that does to us this week as we play the New York Jets. But the defense was below the line on several fronts. Now, again, I get it. When you play the most snaps that you could potentially play with through 3 weeks, you get tired. I get it. The offense didn't give you any favors and do you any, help you out any by not being able to sustain drives. I get it. But at the end of the day, we have to get off the field on third downs. We have to understand that down and distance and situation of football matter. My dad and I, again, had a conversation at half, and, Terrell Edmonds let a guy cross his face, on the first touchdown that ball game to Amari Cooper, I believe it was. And my dad said Minka Fitzpatrick was supposed to have inside leverage. And so I went back and looked at it. And I don't necessarily agree with the assessment behind that. Because at the end of the day, the defense that was called doesn't fit the situation that we were in. If that was indeed the defense that was called. I played cornerback throughout my football career. You don't ever let somebody cross your face in those situations, period. That's an easy pitch and catch. I do that with my 3-year-old son. Let alone NFL quarterback and wide receiver on the goal line. You don't ever do that. You don't ever allow that, regardless whether you have inside help or not. So, the defense, below the line. Below the line. I felt as though we got out-coached. So the bad was my coaching. Once again, Mike Tomlin, Brian Flores, Matt Canada, below the line. I was impressed with the fact that we didn't turn the ball over, but we didn't generate any turnovers. Below the line. Below the line. Deontay Johnson, I got to speak with you, sir. For as much trash and as much as you were able and willing to talk, to the media after the New England Patriots game, you had 2 significant drops in that ball game. 2. Again, that probably would have went a long way into sustaining drives and to keeping us on the field and making sure that we could potentially get points. But we can't have drops, especially on third down. You had 2. Chase Claypool. I got to have a word with you, sir. Drops. Warren, you ran hard, my guy. You were fortunate enough to not turn the ball over on the fumble. Get it together. With that being said, we turn our attention to Sunday. Back at home, playing the New York Football Jets. I'm going to be honest with you folks. I'm not too sure what to think and feel about this upcoming game. I'm not too sure which Steelers team is going to show up. The New York Jets have a plethora of weapons on both sides of the football, and they just got their signal caller, Zach Wilson, that is going to return from injury, who adds a whole different type of element, one of which we haven't seen in stadium before. I need to see better. I tip my cap to, what they were able to do a couple weeks ago. Coming back and beating the Cleveland Browns with Joe Flacco at the helm. They got weapons on the outside. And Wilson and Moore, Conklin, and at the tight end spot they got splash capable people on defense, and the rookie Sauce Gardner. We got our work cut out for us. The road doesn't get any easier in the weeks ahead. And if you honestly think that 90's going to ride in on his white horse and save the day, we got another thing coming. With that being said, God bless. I'll catch you with you guys on the next one.
Sports City, Sports City.